to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday morning meeting here. We're looking for a motion to approve our agenda.
So make it.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Excuse me.
Approve the minutes for January 2nd.
Second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any concerns from the general public? Other than there's not enough room? If not, Jen, are you doing this for Kevin?
This is one of the other letters I sent to a adjoining property owner of a 2011 tax sale certificate that Humboldt County has, asking if Kevin also would be interested in acquiring the tax sale deed by assignment. He has indicated he would like to do that and would pay the taxes owed of $286, but ask that the penalties and interest be abated. So it's that since 2009 without any taxes being paid on it. It's in Thor.
So this is similar to what we did last week also?
It gets back on the tax roll that time, pretty quick.
Exactly.
I would move we go ahead and assign the tax certificate as indicated by Jana.
We have a motion by Carl,
I'll second that motion.
and a second, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
On here, can we also do the credit card policy that's at the bottom?
Yes.
Now, you want to jump in front of all these other people?
So I
I
didn't get
think
5
that's-
minutes.
Go
Can we go
ahead.
back for just a second, a clarification? He's paying the $286, are we forgiving the penalties and interest? Because that wasn't mentioned in the
Yeah,
motion.
that was a motion.
All right.
Now we'll jump to the end of the meeting, where
I asked, but I was told by our Treasurers Association and state auditors that we should have a credit card acceptance policy, since we take credit cards in our office for payment. And this is what was provided by the Treasurers Association. I just changed it to fit our office. Mostly, I don't take cards over the phone, so I left any of that out. I don't want to be responsible for having people's PIN and card information at our...
Is there a fee that we pay for that then?
We pass the fee on to the customer.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
That 3% or whatever
Good.
it is.
Yeah, it's $2 for debit card and 2.25% plus $1.25 for a credit card transaction.
That's, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
And then, this would be county-wide, and then if anybody wants to add more policies per office, if they...
that's what I was wondering, is
Then
this
they
just
would
for
need
your
to.
office, or is
This
this for the courthouse?
This is be for the courthouse, county policy. And then if any office wants to be more restrictive than this, then they'd have to come with additional... it just also indicates that we are PCI compliant through our provider, which is a mandate by the banking institutions, that we don't save any information when they swipe the card. We don't have, our office doesn't have the chip yet, chip reader.
So, assuming this would,
I had John look at it.
I know, I'm assuming this would pass, when would this all be, how long will it take you to be able to do it?
I
What
would
is
just
it,
go
week,
in back
month?
today, as far as I know, because we're already doing
Already
it.
doing it.
We just need
You've been doing it, you just never had a policy, is that correct?
This makes it legal.
This makes it official.
Yep.
I'll make that motion to
A
approve.
motion by Rick.
Second it.
Okay.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Looks like Jan's out of here.
There you
Out of
go.
here. Thank you.
We appreciate it, thank you.
You want me to make a copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you wanna go start on these requests? Cheryl is not here, but someone else
I'm
is
taking
gonna-
place, Cheryl.
Come on up. Travis?
You don't look like Cheryl.
You know what? I did try and pull it off this morning, so, I don't know if Cheryl gave you a copy, she sent me an email. She has family matters that she's attending to right now, so she couldn't make it today.
Thank you.
You're here on Humboldt Housing
Yeah, on
request.
behalf of Humboldt County Housing Development Corporation, countywide organization, helps with, multiple things throughout the county, housing needs assessments, housing developments. There's a list of accomplishments that are included in here, but, you know, we can touch on some of the more recent ones. Well, Humboldt County Housing has been around for decades, actually, and is quite honestly, what a lot of our neighboring communities strive to emulate in a housing group. We've actually hosted other counties to try and so they can try and replicate what we're doing with Humboldt County Housing. You know, the successes of Riverview Heights, you know, that's a complete build-out. Eagle Ridge moved much faster than anticipated. We have also used TIF LMI set-aside funds that the city of Humboldt has donated to Humboldt County Housing to build houses, the duplexes on South Fifth Street are a prime example, but also to help create those for lower moderate income individuals as well. Humboldt County Housing has the CDBG grant rehab program that they administer. They also have a demolition grant to $7,500 can be awarded to help demolish a derelict building. That's another program as well in here. Let's see here. The building trades program, that's another one that we've had tremendous success with. It's a great way to add at least one house to your housing stock every year. Building trades 17 will be, once again, in Eagle Ridge, where the interior lots have been earmarked for that. This year, they're currently working on one up in Eagle Ridge as well. One of the biggest things that's been identified is where after Eagle Ridge we go. Humboldt County Housing has already acquired some properties over by West River Drive. And we're actually kind of looking at also identifying workforce housing. We know that's a term used quite often. We have a shortage of workforce housing, so Humboldt County Housing is working with a consultant to try and come up with other ideas that we can end up with affordable housing for the workforce. That, the request from Humboldt County Housing is for $7,500 in 2018, which is the same that has been for years past.
Might clarify, this is a county program, not just a city program.
Correct. I'm here representing the county-wide organization. I am a board member as well as a couple of county supervisors, so this is a county-wide program, that is correct.
I think we've had a minor discussion on this, Travis, but yeah, I'm glad Carl brought that up. Do they look outside of the, you know, Humboldt metropolitan area when they do these projects?
They do. One of the reasons that they typically end up occurring in Humboldt is that there is often a city match to this. The city puts in the infrastructure, and that's how the Housing Corp really succeeds, is partnering with the cities. And my understanding is that when they try to go outside of Humboldt proper as well on these larger ones. Now, the grant program and stuff, the demolition grant, that is used outside of Humboldt proper as well.
Okay.
But when we're talking the large scale, the Eagle Ridges, the Riverview Heights.
It takes a fair contribution from the cities to make them work.
Exactly. That's a
Well,
pretty substantial financial cost, and so once you get outside of Humboldt proper, it's a little bit more difficult.
But they do not, I mean, they do consider looking around, and like I said, some of the other things that are available, demolition and such, is,
Correct.
and the other outlying smaller communities are aware of these things, so that if that would be beneficial, you do keep them in the loop.
That could be something that maybe our board could do a little bit better job is getting that information out fully, because I know there are Humboldt city residents that aren't fully aware of the demo grant, for example, as the
It's only
code
been
enforcement.
used once, as far as I know.
Correct. As the code enforcement officer for Humboldt, I do let people know, if you have to tear this building down, we have a grant program available through Humboldt County Housing. And as Rick said, it's only been utilized once.
Wow. So just speaking to that little part of it, there would be something that maybe some smaller communities could take advantage of, that, you know, with this whole
Yeah.
program.
Absolutely.
But the demo grant is subject to that you rebuild.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, just so that,
But
like
it
you
could-
said, Travis, that everyone is aware of it, that
Yeah.
could potentially utilize it.
And it's something that could be used out on an acreage in the county.
Absolutely.
If you
Yeah.
tear down an old house and build a new one, it's available for that.
Well, just not to forget, when it does say Humboldt County Housing Development,
Right.
as Carl mentioned, and it is Humboldt County, and so that everyone countywide is aware of these programs.
I could see that's why Cheryl typically comes to these things, because it gives an appearance that it's a city program when it's me
Right.
sitting here. But that is correct. It is
But you
not.
did mention, it is county, so just so we keep it as a county program, that's the key thing.
Mhm. Well,
We appreciate you filling in for Cheryl,
yeah.
Not a problem.
and I guess, when we start putting Peggy's list together here, we will have them on there, and we'll...
Christmas list together, we'll
Sure.
see how it works out.
Yeah.
We
I
appreciate it
understand
very
how that
much.
works out for you.
Thanks,
Good
Travis.
work, thank you,
All right.
Travis.
Not a problem, thank you.
Did we flip a coin to see who's doing the fair board presentation?
Yours, and Robert, on the top there.
Short straw again this year, huh?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll go there.
I know how to get to you.
There you go. Jeff is here on behalf of the Humboldt County Fair Board, so, board yours.
All right, today, I'm here, Jeff Hazelhoon, I'm the president of the Humboldt County Fair, and with the vice president, Jeff Halverson, secretary Paul Davis, and treasurer Kevin Cordray. And, we're just here to ask for our annual request of funding for the fair in the amount of $25,000. That's the same as it's been in the past for quite a few years. We have a 16-member board, which you have a copy of. It's the same as last year, and it was a unanimous vote to request that amount of funds from the supervisors. Just a little bit of an update. Last year, we put up a new building, a 16 by 60 by 120 building. Took down the old Red Horse Barn. Didn't know about the demolition grant, but we got a demolition permit, so.
I think it's only for housing.
Probably wouldn't.
Well, we house a lot of horses.
Might be human habitation, but...
We can look
Stretch
into
the
that.
code just a
Yeah,
touch.
we can look into that for the
Tweak it a
future.
little bit.
We also tore down our old show ring, and that's under construction right now. We've got the footings in for that. And that's gonna be a 72 by 88 foot building attached to the old barn, just like it was before. But now it's gonna be 14 foot high, and we'll have all new lighting and sound and bleachers and stuff in there. And it's gonna increase our show ring capacity by quite a bit. There'll be a lot of new gating and things done with that. In addition to that, we've done a lot of our infrastructure again. We've buried a lot of electricity. We've got a couple new transformers again. Actually, they're working down there today, hooking up, finalizing the power now. When we went to do this project for the show ring, we found that there was high voltage wires above the show ring, and they were in pretty poor state, and
Could you
it
do
was a
that?
hazard. So we buried everything underground now as a continuation of that, so.
Not unless it's 50 years.
We're really making some pretty big improvements with this last
Yeah,
year.
we're spending a lot of money. We gotta thank the community. We got a community foundation grant for that. That was a 3-year grant that we got that we had to match, and this will be the 3rd year of that, and that's been really helpful. Of course, the county funding every year, very helpful in planning for some of those improvements and upgrades. And at the same time we're doing these buildings, we're putting in new electric and water and things like that. So we've got some other water concerns and more electricity concerns. I think there's 5 power poles left to replace. Once we get that next phase done, then everything will be underground. You won't have any high voltage over. We did put a fuse on our transformer. We've kind of taken the electricity flow and reversed it through the fairgrounds. We're bringing it in on the south end of the fairgrounds now where we have a fuse. So if for some reason there was a major fire or something, we can pull that fuse. I mean, we can't, but I mean, the utilities can, and kill the power to the whole grounds. So that's something that's kind of new and very safety oriented, so. Just got a lot of improvements. We're working really hard. The board's been doing a very good job of doing a good fair. We have a carnival again this year, the same people that we've had in the past. The agenda for the fair is about the same. And we do have rice bull riding coming this year from Minnesota, and they bring a pretty good show. That would be pretty exciting to have. Lucas Oil again. We're still trying to use music for our Thursday night show, and that'll be free. We basically have 3 nights, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night of the fair that are free, so there's really no reason that anybody in the community can't come and benefit from the fair. So we're trying to reach out to about 15,000 people every year, so.
It brings up a good question. I ask this question every year, and I know it's a money situation. Any more thought on how you replace those grandstands?
Yes, we've been, 5 years ago, we got blueprints made for that. It was about $5,500 through Sand Construction. And so that's been all engineered and everything, and we were looking at doing something like a safe house on that. There's a little problem with the floodplain there. As you know, there's the one part of the property to the east is in the floodplain. And when you talk to FEMA, they think that's the whole fairgrounds. Well, there's 33 acres there. It's not the whole 33 acres. So we've just got to deal with them. I think the 5 left, the power poles left to bury, that'll be our last electric to get down before we would be ready to do a grandstand. And if you go down and look at where the power poles are located and everything, the transformers, that's leaving room for the new grandstand that we have designed. But as far as funding, it's gonna take about $2 million to do it.
Big dollars.
Yeah, and we borrowed money to put this last building up over a 5-year note, and we're probably gonna get it paid off in 4 years. We have some funding that we're getting for this new show arena, so we won't have to borrow any money for that. So we've had a lot of donations from the public and some businesses, and that's pretty exciting to see that people are putting money back into the fair.
Yeah, a lot of giving back.
Yeah, but it is on our radar. We're trying to get some of this other infrastructure done first, but I think we're building for that for the future.
Good enough.
One other thing I'd like to publicly tell you is, I'm on the Ministerial Association, and you guys allow the food pantry, every other month to use your facility down there for the mobile food pantry, and the food pantry and the Ministerial Association appreciates that a lot. Does a lot of service. Well, they've been averaging 125 families coming through there, and it's a location that we can count on to use that, so we appreciate that very much, and we'll take this into consideration in a few weeks when Peggy gets it together and put the numbers together. So, thank you, unless you got any other questions. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now while they all leave, we have time to do the claims quick.
You do.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the claims, looks like $200,105.63, and for drainage, $58,537.67. I move the approval.
Form of a motion and a second. Any other questions on that? Was that all the same numbers for everybody?
Yeah.
What was the claims again, 200?
2,200,
Okay,
105, 63.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. I better sign that and,
I will take them with me when I go out then.
does that get us to drainage? Do we need a motion to go into drainage?
I'll make a motion to go into drainage.
Second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Just sign it here, dear.
Yep,
Any of the lines?
yep, any other line you wanna pick. And then also on the drainage page.
Got enough chairs?
Yeah.
You guys get good at this, you know, to bring your own chairs even.
We get you another one here. Come out in the hall. Let me get you one.
Yep, we got
There's
lots of,
room over here in the-
we get lots of chairs.
From my understanding, that's what it will be. Then they'll proceed from there to the bidding process.
I was gonna say, if I get out of here.
There you go. No charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I get up and walk out, you'll know if I'm good. Did Trish boycott us, or what?
She saw us move, Rick in there, Rick and Trish.
Okay.
We're talking to back, and that'll basically mean that's it.
John Beatty.
That's good, that's good.
Morning, Rick.
Morning, Rick.
You can shove that down there so that you have a little room, elbow room there, you don't keep it on.
Gary Penis wants that chair.
Yeah.
Right, Gary?
No, I'd buy it for a hard seat.
All right, Trish.
What?
What kind of trouble did you start? You got all these people mad and they're in here for...
No, heck no.
It, looks like we're a little behind, but DD number 2, lateral M, completion hearing, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Yeah.
Holland has finished all the work out there some time ago now. They, as usual, were very good to work with. I brought estimate 2 and estimate 3, which is the final. Estimate 3 just will, pay the retainage, which is $25,593. Completion hearing is required by the Iowa Code, and you give notice to people that are along the route of the project for them to have any, claims or anything. Trish has received one claim for where we started, for some extra drying. The good news, I guess, it was not that much money, 281 something.
282,
Yeah, because
16.
they notified them, they came in and took the corn out early.
Yes, earlier than they wanted, they couldn't wait to let it dry down naturally.
Better than having to pay for the corn.
Yeah, exactly, way better than having to pay for the
282,
corn.
16, is all.
And from what Trish says, that's the only claim she had. I guess it'd just be if there's any comments from the audience, as far as anything out there we don't know about, I guess.
So, if, what you just said, if there's something out there that hasn't been brought to anyone's attention, it needs to be at our attention right now
Yes.
to get included, correct?
Yes, this is the time for that.
So if it would, something shows up a week down the road, it's too bad, really.
Technically, that's right.
Because they've been notified if there's this particular concern with little corn drying makes sense.
Yes.
And I know this isn't a huge project in the grand scheme of
No.
length and size and all that, but just a point of clarification, and I don't think there will be, but if something shows up a little bit down the road, this is where it should have showed up.
Yes, correct. Notice was mailed to the landowners along the route, and it was just published.
This is basically for any kind of damages. to
Right, that's what
Yes.
it, correct, and then, so they would know that this is it
Yeah.
to turn
Yeah.
in
Notice
said
that they're taking
damages.
care of that.
And this is the only one that's,
Yep,
we've got.
that's right. So we're recommending acceptance and approval of the claim, and closing out the project.
I'll make the motion to accept the one, response we did have. One damage claim.
Claim from
Sec-
Kenny Day.
Second that?
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried.
Do we need a motion to pay the final
Yes, and then I believe that's 30 days after this.
Later on?
We'll have to look at that,
Okay.
yeah, so,
later on?
but yeah, approval to pay that,
Well, you're
estimate
gonna have to
number
give us
3.
the estimate. I don't have a copy of that,
Oh.
do we?
No,
We didn't get a copy of that.
What number-
You have to
or we
tell us
made-
what the number is.
It's number 3, and then we put finally behind it. And it's retainage, and the total amount is $25,593.75. And that will be paid 30
days
from
now.
And then that will still leave the retainage on the backside of that, or that is the...
That includes retainage, right?
that we-
Yeah, it includes
okay.
retainage,
So,
yeah.
That's final, because you said
It's
it's final.
Yeah, yep. Contractor was very good as far as any extra work. The only thing they asked for was $568 when we changed the size and location of an intake.
Is that all in the contract?
Yes, yeah. So again, they were very good to
so
work
we
with.
need a motion on that.
We need a motion to approve
Need a
the,
motion.
I make a motion to approve final payment of $25,593.75 to Holland Contractor.
We got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried. So
We need
then
to
we have
set a
30, you wanna set that, or what do we?
No, this, your action
Your-
will, this,
That'll
Tricia
take
will
it
take
out?
care of it now.
All right.
Yeah. Once you've made that motion, she can just put it on her calendar to
Perfect.
file for that payment.
Well, you could sign your John Henry on that if you would.
Anywhere?
Yes. Let's see. Thank you.
Okay. Now we move to DD 11 sub 5, primary engineering report, hearing.
I didn't bring a file in, I got it out there. The biggest thing on this was objections and how that came out. And based on the numbers, remonstrance has not been met.
Does anybody have any
Yeah, we
objections
need
or
to see if
anything?
there's any objections that have not been heard.
Next time we could ask questions. Okay, I'm Ross Steele, and I'm with Archer Properties. We're against doing either for our situation. We do understand, and this is above my pay grade, so I hope I have this straight, but you guys are gonna vote on either the half-inch or the 1-inch. We personally feel the half-inch is sufficient enough. I know other people have reasons for the 1-inch. My view is if there's something you guys can do to get more drainage for people that want it and not hit the ones who don't go in the full 1-inch, it's obviously cheaper to do the half-inch. We'd rather you go the half-inch, but, you know, there's less input of money for us, and I'm aware that there are other people that think the same way. I'm not gonna speak for anyone, but I know in our case, I'd rather pay $36,000 than $45,000.
This is one, yeah, that's well put. This is one of those situations where I think we should go to bid with both, and you'll see the real difference between the half-inch and the 1-inch then. For probably $200 or $300, we can bid both, and then have the input from the landowners. We typically recommend the 1-inch because for like 20 to 25% more, you get twice the drainage, but again, I'd like that decision, I'd prefer that decision, I guess, after you have actual prices to work.
Well, that's kind of the way we've done it the last,
Yeah. And then we've had so much discussion on this, but wasn't part of it, basically what you just said. We were gonna get the numbers on both half and 1-inch coefficient, half-inch and 1-inch coefficient, and bring that to a vote
Yes.
between the two, but with the actual bid numbers.
Yes.
Does anyone have an objection to that? Because you're the ones that are voting on
So
it.
you're basically gonna say, all right, that this is what the half-inch will cost.
With actual bid numbers, yes.
Yes.
So, as owners, do we have, if you're gonna say to us, these are two prices, do we get to vote on which one we want?
Do we get a choice, or do you run the thing?
Yeah, because my understanding is, it's really, we're at the point, it's your decision.
It is our decision, but we try to take what the majority would like to have. It is our decision, but we listen to the majority of the people.
Majority of the people or the acres?
The owners, landowners, the ones, people that concern.
Now, can I ask one thing I'd also heard, let's say the majority of people say, we want to have it. You vote that, I've heard that potentially someone may come back and say, well, I'm gonna file for another half-inch project, that's doubling. To me, that's crazy. Would the board do that?
Probably not.
No.
There's a legal, any landowner can file.
Right.
I mean, they can file, it's a matter of how the board looks at it then.
Right, okay.
Typically, we've always bid both areas and let the landowners decide. Even though we could dictate one or the other, we try to listen to what the majority would like to have happen.
So, can I ask one last question? So, it will not be decided today whether it's a half-inch or not?
No.
No.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What's decided today is that we'll, as Rick Dopper mentioned, that we'll have hard and fast bid numbers for both size projects.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, another question, if more people were against the inch compared to the few, say you got the more acres, but the majority is against it, how would that affect it then? It'd still be their power yet, or what? Or do we have the power of anything to say yet, the majority of people?
Rick, do you wanna mention, it speaks to the way that it,
Yeah, there's nothing in the code that talks about votes or who's in favor of which project. The remonstrance is very specific on how that's handled. From that point on, you have some leeway as far as how you handle it. You got a couple options. You can, if more people are in favor of the half-inch, you'll still need to consider both and weigh the cost difference. They're right, that this final decision falls right in your laps, but I appreciate you trying to get responses too. So it's pretty gray area.
Because we've had a petition for a 1-inch and a petition for a half-inch.
Yes,
And it'll be ultimately up to the board to decide.
yes.
And what the best bang for the dollar is.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
in our
should weigh,
opinion.
Yeah.
but very,
That weight.
I think Russ's question was, if one side or the other owns 50% of the land, do they have more weight than the other
And
people?
that's not really
That-
spelled out in the law. That's how you wanna look at
well,
it.
remonstrance is spelled out in the law.
Oh, very specific.
So that's what we get to.
And
And
that-
it,
and
you
that
already
point-
checked it did not meet remonstrance.
Right.
So that's why we're moving forward.
But I guess overall, it still boils down to you guys being able to say, even if majority of landlords, or excuse me, landowners want the half-inch, you still have every right to say, no, we're gonna do the 1-inch, because we feel, that's your final decision, or you have final say.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's true.
And I guess the thing will come down to is what'll carry more weight, acres or heads, in your guys' decision.
Well-
But that can be a decision for down the road.
This very recently, in the past year, did a completely different project, and very similar though. The half-inch and 1-inch were taken to bid. The actual numbers were presented to the landowners. There was discussion amongst them in a different group, of course, different area, and the consensus was 1-inch. And then, so there was input from...
Yes.
Yes, we have the final say-so, but there's input from the landowners.
Yes.
And they had the bid numbers that you had given them on that project. They talked amongst themselves, and that was the direction they went.
Yes.
I mean, that was the input we took, it was a 1-inch project, long story short. But, so we're trying to do similar
Similar procedure.
to have hard and fast numbers, not approximate bid numbers. And how soon do you think we would have those, Rick?
Well, there's some field work we have to do before we can let it, because we need to pin down the location of the tile exactly. So it's gonna be a summer bid letting.
Summer bid letting?
We'll do the field work early in the spring, finish plans and specs, get them to contractors, and then, bid it as soon as we can, but it's gonna take us probably, that'll just be a few days in the field, but then maybe a month to put the plans and specs together, and then a couple weeks after that to bid it.
So like, what would be your guesstimate on, when you say bid letting, early part of summer?
Early part of summer.
And then thinking
It
next
could
fall?
possibly get started in the fall?
I'm actually thinking that they'd work on it next summer.
Oh, okay.
It's way cheaper for us to pay for some crop loss than it is to tighten the time schedule for the contractor.
True.
What happens if you allow it in the summer, you get all those contractors that do a lot of farm tiling, a chance to do the project, so. Opens it up to a lot more bidders.
So where do we need to go here? Just,
We
we're
need to
gonna-
accept the preliminary
Need to
engineering
accept
report.
it.
Accept I'll make a motion to accept the preliminary engineering report hearing.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that?
Wait,
Hold it.
Accept
Isn't
and
it-
approve.
accept and approve.
Accept and approve.
Accept
Get the correct wording.
and
Yeah.
approve.
Sorry. What?
Do we have a second?
I still second, accept and approve.
Any other discussion on the acceptance and the approval? I'm just, I don't wanna get scolded again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We'd be interested in any tile maps people have, so when we're working out the design, we try and minimize any interference with the existing systems out there. We'll get the exact location of the tile that's out there already, so we can decide if we wanna parallel it and which side and where to put structures and all that.
And with this project, being that it's not closing an egg well, you don't have to take the straightest and most direct route.
Right,
You can move around a little bit.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
So we know if there's no egg wells, right?
correct.
Nobody else knows of it?
If everybody knew of one out there,
That would be the
very
time.
important to let us know this.
Yeah,
Well, just for the simple fact that our time is getting real thin on trying to close those, so if there are any in that neck of the woods that no one knows about, would be the best time to,
yes. Yeah, it could easily be $150,000 to $200,000 savings.
okay.
Okay.
So we're good with that. We're to the 125.
Yeah, guess there was discussion at the last meeting, as far as adjustments, for, on the Nave property, if they were to,
Will you guys leave that door open too? I think it's hot in here.
Warmish.
Yeah.
Please?
Oh, I got it.
Just let a few of them.
Yeah, we'll let it clean out a little bit here before we get into this, so it ain't quite so noisy.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Jerry.
You want this door left open too, Bruce, or?
No, you can.
You're right, Trish, we have to have that.
Interfere with
Accept
their...
and approve or get a tit ringer. We've been in trouble before.
We've been in the ringer before.
We have to be,
I guess I just thought it was repeated.
Yeah, that's right.
I know.
I know, but it's coming close.
Sorry.
I'll have to wake up.
good job.
At least getting it started.
Okay, we're back to a
Said it all
normal
right.
crowd again. We're gonna go over 125 again on the review of the appeal from Gary.
Well, I'll take this, 'cause I've been on this the longest, I guess. This is, 125 was a district that was developed to close egg wells. And it's a little unusual because it took the outlet an opposite direction of the watershed flow. It went up north, to me it's north, through a big hill and drained into a ravine. Built a pond for nitrate reduction, detention pond for silt and trash, or forebay they call it, I guess.
Yep.
So this is unusual compared to what we've always dealt with, pretty much at least in my time in the county here. And Gary has appealed the classification on part of his land that he has in this project, 'cause some of it does drain into what was handled by the ag wells. The north portion of his one field had nothing to do with the ag wells. It just got drug into this project because they needed an outlet. My concerns about this are, we're looking at future ag well closures where we're gonna be going through, searching for outlets. And you're dragging people into projects that have no business being drug into them, other than the fact that their land lays between you and the outlet.
Or the direction you want.
You know, we're pulling water where water never used to go. And that was Gary's, reasoning why he thought he shouldn't be involved in this at all. But the tile is in his land, so he does get some benefit out of it. And I spoke just recently here on this. I think, like Gary mentioned, this main that we put in cut right through his existing main that he had in the field, went through his pattern tiling. We could have looped out around it, but the state doesn't allow that. They want for ag well closures, they want the most direct and cheapest route. And that's why they had to go through that. And then we had in the first classification, we reduced that down. The Board of Commissioners.
Yes.
Eric and I sat in with them. They figured up what it would cost to basically lay a 12-inch main through his property, because that's basically what he has, but his portion of this 48-inch main, a 12, would drain his property, which already has a main in it and tile. It basically boils down to, he got drug into this because of his land's the outlet. Didn't need it, his land's already been tiled. I know the code says, but the way I look at it, that's different, because that's dealing with the people that are in that actual watershed. The way I look at the code. So I was a little, didn't like that
And,
part of it.
you know, this all started before my tenure, but as I've researched this as well, this is, DD number 125 was created for ag well closure.
Yeah.
So it is, like Rick, just to expound on it's not a 100-year-old drainage district.
No, it's not. It was something just developed just to do that, and we have future projects coming up that will be similar. And I think we're gonna have to,
We have
we're gonna have to look at these projects, and they're gonna have to be treated different than we have treated projects in the past. So, my recommendation, last week was to drop his assessment, or his benefit, by 20%. Going from a 1-inch coefficient to a half. I visited with Gary, about it, through the week, and after talking with him, I'd recommend, instead of the 20%, do a 30% reduction. It amounts to about $3,000, going from the 20 to the 30. I don't know if that's acceptable with Gary, or with the rest of the board, but that'll be my motion, to change that 20% to a 30% reduction of the 31,000. So it'll be down roughly to around 21 something, I haven't done the math.
And there are times the half-inch is that much lower.
True.
I mean, there's precedence.
And that's a comparison, there again,
Between
like you said, if you just drained that ground, that's what we're basing these numbers on. It's a comparison number.
because the tile is there and he can use it, so there needs to be something in place,
And there still is,
and there still is.
but, well, you want a second and then discussion, or do you want discussion in a second?
Let's have a
I'd like to have
second.
second. I'd like to second Rick's motion.
And that way,
I'd
the
like to
lady
second.
here to the left will put...
Oh, second Rick's motion, and I'd like to
All right,
discuss
now we
this.
have a motion and a second for a reduction from the 20 of last week to 30.
Yeah, 30.
Now,
That's why I second that. And all I have to say
have at it.
past that is, you gotta go back, and I know that Rick has, he's really thought through this, and we've mentioned that this is established for ag drainage well closure. Rick has been here, and we've had a lot of discussion. It was less expensive for all the people involved in this project to go the direction that it went to get to that outlet. So, the project in itself, as a cost of going north, and that's the way it ended up, was way less expensive than going south, that's why it went that direction. So, it's still, the whole overall project and the cost back to the people involved in it is way less just from the get-go. So I take that thought process into this one that Rick so accurately described, going that direction, and Gary's concerned, it all kind of comes together that it's still a huge cost savings for the people to get these ag drainage wells closed. And, yeah, what they get levied, it's still way considerably less money than had it gone the other way, you know, with, say, no objections to anything, it would just cost a lot more. So, in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense to consider that it's there, it was the most cost-effective, given, like you mentioned too, it's an IDELS co-funded project, you don't have the leeway, they tell you, this is how it's gonna be, you're gonna go here. I think the whole thing, thought process of it ended up being a good project. It closed the drainage wells that we're trying to accomplish. It does tend to make sense to me as I think through the whole big picture of it.
Well,
That's why I second it.
the other, I guess, thing that you look at with that cluster of wells over there along the highway, and if we ever do get something done that way, there is no real good outlet, whatever direction we
Have to go a long ways and
go.
go
So somewhere,
through,
we're gonna probably use the same theory or same method as to how we calculate.
They're gonna have to be looked at individually, 'cause they're different than what we've done in the past.
Right.
It isn't, I think the big picture is good, and Rick certainly thought through it, we're all thinking through it. It isn't that we're improving a project that's been there for 100 years. We're making a new project because of ag drainage well closure. This is an example, there'll be others. So there is a differential, and that's the way you can look at it, because I always have a concern of setting precedent, that people say, well, you're fiddling around with the assessment. Well, yes, but here's the justification for it. It's not, you know, here's a 100-year-old system that just failed, and we have to replace it.
Right.
We just replaced it. We made one to satisfy ag drainage well closures. So I can justify it. That's why I seconded the motion. I think it makes sense to also wrap this up, move forward with the process and get it done, because the project is complete.
Yes.
There's no extenuating,
Right. Everything's done.
so.
Anything else?
Gary's got a question.
Gary?
No, I just need to know what the total is gonna be, roughly.
Your total?
Yeah. You're taking the 30% off the 40,000 original, right?
No, it was reduced,
31,203.
31,203, and then it was reduced again. Yeah, it was 40-some, but then it was reduced because of proximity to 31,203, and then I can come up with how much more
70%
reduction.
of that.
So it'd be... Sorry.
21,842.
So last week is what, 24,963? Is that what you had, Dave, when that's the number?
Well, that was
you
at the 20%, yeah.
20%.
So if you go back to the 30-some thousand and reduce it by 30%, I don't.
I don't have that sheet, I don't remember where I put it.
Particularly, there's not much we can do in the total. Okay, it dropped from 31,203, which is already a reduction, the initial reduction, and then dropping it 30% more comes to 21,842.
Go ahead. 21,842, Gary.
Well,
I don't know, I talked to Don this morning down there. He just thinks it's a total disaster with not going with his figures. My lawyer was, he was there when the meeting started, but he was a little bit early. He won't be here till 9:30.
Well, it's 9:26.
So you're saying it cost me $21,000?
Yeah, that means would be 21,000 something. Here you
Yeah,
have the payment.
we are a little early, so maybe we should take a little recess.
We can do that.
I wanna get out of here. I'll do it, but it sure gets
Well, thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
We try to make things as good as we can for everyone.
So, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the reduction from 20 to 30,
Aye.
Aye.
pose same sign. Motion carries. Do you have those numbers?
21,842.
Okay,
Good work.
What,
Got her done.
Thank you.
what?
done?
Nobody's happy with me. Because it's just, these things get drug out and...
No, well,
Thank
that
you.
was the gist of it. We need to get this done.
Yeah.
Save both.
Okay,
Randy?
now we're back now from our break.
It was a short break, but that's all right.
All right, next on the list is DD 35, Branch C, set a bid levy.
That's the one just
Are
north
you
of
here
town.
for us, or just observing, or?
I am right
Okay.
now just observing.
Okay, I didn't know if we
I'm
needed...
here for you later.
Okay.
I didn't want to make the county attorney mad, having
No.
chasing us around.
If you wanna fix my internet, I can back up the day, so it's my time to be down here.
Okay, I don't know about, you want me on your computer, so where we gotta be with our bid letting, or bid setting?
Here's what I'd suggest, we have the plans and specs ready except for the bid date. So today, we'll have the plans and specs done. I'd like you to consider setting it for the 29th of this month. We've kind of been shooting for January bid letting.
Oh, that's still January.
Yeah.
What, can you refresh our memory on
This
DD
is-
35 Branch C?
Yep, This
I
is
just,
the one where,
Just north and east of town here.
yeah.
And it does involve-
North and west, excuse me.
Erickson's and Schultz's?
Yeah.
is there any ag drainage well on this?
Yes,
Yes.
one ag drainage well. Now, they've got it outletted to the east, which drains to this branch C. What the state insisted we do, and you summarized this earlier, we have to find the most economical way to close that ag drainage well. The most economical way was to use branch M3 or M6, anyway. There was a closer outlet for this.
Right.
So the landowners will get 75% of that cost. They wanted to put this towards another branch, which is actually where this egg well drains to. It's further away, but they felt that, let's take that money and benefit more people and do the branch C instead.
I was here for all that discussion, so I do remember it. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you something else on this, we just brought it up. And I'm sure if we have to, we can go back in the minutes. There was discussion amongst the landowners with the proposed project between half and 1 inch coefficient. I believe their agreement was 1 inch coefficient.
That's right, and that's how we have the plans at this
So,
point.
at this point, in this particular project, we can move forward with the bid letting at 1 inch coefficient.
Yes, and that's how we've prepared the plans and specs.
We don't have to go through
Yeah,
half
you don't
inch. So
have
this
to
was,
vote in.
this is a little different, the same but different, but
Yeah,
that's
you
been
did the
discussed.
half inch for the
Preliminary report.
preliminary for the state's funding.
Right, but then Rick
But they chose to go to 1 inch.
succinctly, and we had this in good discussion and laid out, and everyone knows and is on board
Yes.
for this project, 1 inch coefficient. So I make a motion to set January 29th at
Are you thinking
9 o'clock
Sure.
as for the bid letting for District 35 Branch C.
Okay.
Second motion.
All right, we have, A motion and a second for 9 o'clock the 29th of this month for 35, number C. All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Trish, you got 9 o'clock.
Super.
Okay, looks like DD number 3, approved pay estimate number 4 to Yerke and Sons.
I brought the original today to you. You wouldn't have gotten it until today's mail, we did it late last week. This gets us close to final on this one. We still have a situation with the outlet pipes where they just placed rock. They're...
So which one is this now? Is this number 3?
Yeah, 3 that Yerke did.
Okay.
With the,
DD number 3.
Yeah, DD number 3, the one with the field crossing.
Yeah,
has to be done
all right.
yet, but that's separate, from the project. Opine's crossing,
Yeah.
that's this one.
So, yeah, what's the deal then?
Okay, there's several pipes that we had them put rock under it, the existing pipe, because it was eroding. They're claiming $600 cost per each of those, and that's too high.
That sounds a little high.
Yeah. I think it should be more in the $200 range, and I told him that on the phone, and I'm probably gonna need to call our inspector and talk through it, because our inspector went out there this fall, they rode the whole project, counted all the surface drains that were replaced and the ones that had rock. So we have numbers, but I have to get into the file and see how they recorded those. I'm only 2 off on the ones where they replaced pipe, so we can resolve that. Because we got a count, and our count was 2 more than I show on this pay estimate. So, that will definitely be resolved. The thing that may take a little time is the negotiation on the cost of placing that rock, where the pipes were just there already.
So your pay is $21,623.85, and that's holding back $868.72?
Yes.
That's the 10%?
Yep.
So the 21 would get them to $50,994.
That sounds right. Yeah. So, yeah, that gets them paid up except for the problem with the rock placement, and we're short two
tiles.
Retain, take care of that.
Yeah, oh yeah, retainage is,
I have had a few comments that there's a few old pipes still laying out there. There's a couple tires that they grubbed out that they never picked up.
okay,
Just a couple things like that.
okay.
They're not-
Address those same issues along with the...
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I will include that in my discussion with them. This is one where we'll have to reach an agreement. You don't wanna finalize it till they've taken care of those things.
Yes.
We'll have a completion hearing where Trish gets a notice out to everybody, and it'll be published if there's a completion hearing, and that'll be room for other, well, just like today.
Yeah.
If people had issues, they can bring them up then.
Okay.
So can we have the pay estimate that we can pay, because there is, it's general term retainage on any of these extracurriculars.
Correct, yes.
So we can't approve the pay
Yep,
estimate.
that's what we're recommending, is that payment of the $21,000.
$21,000, I would make the
$23.85.
motion to approve the pay estimate number 4 to Yerke and Sons for the amount listed. Write that down, 21,000 whatever.
$21,623.85.
21,000,
Got a
yeah.
motion on there,
I'll second that motion.
and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I did drop off the 35-inch C plans with Trish, because those were completely done. To finalize the specs, I needed that deadletting date, so we'll have that later today. And I gave a couple copies of most of the plan sheets to Harlan this morning, and he can get it to Dial to look at. One thing that Harlan had requested that was not a problem to grant, that ag drainage well is in a field that's gonna be seed corn, and he asked that we require the ag well to be closed before April 15th. I've got that in the specs, I've got it in the plans. Not a problem. Some of you know too, the seed corn company gets very particular on disturbance of the field.
They don't, crop damage does not work with seed corn.
Right,
And they don't like people out in their fields.
right. So, we'll do the work right at the structure, removing the above ground, plugging the casing, ahead of time, before April 15th, so it can all be worked real well, and,
They just want the well closed?
yeah.
There's not getting,
There is a tile already taking the ag well water to the east.
okay, so, because as we went through this whole process, as far as construction, what would your thought and process be on the time frame, Rick?
Right now, the way I have it worded, we're gonna allow all of this coming construction season to get it built. You have them done early enough in the fall that they can do all their fall tillage and have it ready for spring, next year. So, yeah, allowing this construction season to build.
Well, as long as that's spelled out, because I don't really wanna see us getting in the middle, that it was spelled out, and then somebody shows up and destroys however much seed corn, and that's the best number that's ever been developed, and we got our butt in the ringer because they're in their field. So we just wanna make sure all of that is put on paper.
Absolutely, and that's why I was glad that Harlan came to me ahead of time and brought this up. And I was able to show him today in the plans where we call for it, and he'll be able to see it in the specs when we get those to you.
Make sure on the day that we put that in to a bid, that
We get on the list to get it pumped full of bentonite.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree 100% with Bruce's comment. That is not one that can be extenuated or...
No, that's right, there's no extension on that time.
No.
Thank you.
We'll hire somebody and charge the contractor accordingly if that's what it takes.
Yes, yes.
And this, it's covered, we've made it as an incidental item, to do it by that date. Like I say, it's on the plans and the specs, we'll emphasize it at the pre-construction meeting. Yeah, it should be in February probably. So they'll know ahead of time, plenty more ahead of time.
Okay, we got that part of it covered, the closure. So when the project starts, will they have to get back in that field? Shouldn't.
Once they close that well and cover it up, it's done.
That's right.
So that area then, that is not gonna be in a construction area as far as the project? Okay.
Nope. They may have to make a tile connection or two right there, yet, because right now, the tile that comes into it dumps into the ag well and then goes down in the casing, or follows the 15-inch to the east. So when we plug the casing, they're gonna just have to connect those tiles to the 15.
Do a little bit of
Correct,
work.
but that'll be the same time as the closure, so
Yeah.
past that being done, they won't have to go back in.
It should be like a couple-day job out there,
Oh,
it'll
it
be
shouldn't be
done.
long at all. You're probably about right on,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, well, just looking down the road when they begin the project, that area is done then?
Yep.
Yes.
The closure, okay.
This one does have a crossing of Highway 169 at
Right.
the upper end of it, so the
Right.
contractor would need to coordinate that. We'll find out at pre-con who his subcontractor is for that. I'm guessing they'll wanna come in a little bit ahead of time,
Thank you.
dig the pit, get it across the highway. We're keeping the DOT informed, and then they'll pay for that crossing.
Okay,
Good deal.
how, being we're already a little behind,
You're ahead now.
We're actually ahead of schedule.
okay, then we got time to kill.
Yeah.
What are we, over by Lily's?
Yeah.
How, did we ever come out with those test digs or?
Yes, well, and we need to get back, we're getting back down there today to check those flags to see if there's any discrepancies. But bottom line on the thing is, at the, Graves, I'll say Graves.
Burns.
Right.
Burns?
Yeah, Burns is
Geis.
okay. Geis, yeah,
Geis,
Geis,
there it
ag
is.
drainage well. When, Mansky dug that up this fall, he found that the deeper tile there, the 10-inch that we observed before, he opened it up, it was completely plugged. So, what we're able to do is raise everything, enough, we're gonna be within 2 inches of the limestone, it looks like, but it looks like there's gonna be little or no limestone today. If we don't have to go to the level of that 10-inch. And Louis, maybe, you agree or disagree with this, on the property east of you, the water pretty much drains from the north-south, doesn't it?
South and east.
South and east, yeah. So if we're coming into the low part of the
Yeah,
ground,
you can just go back up the hill away and pick up some elevation.
there you go, yeah.
How's
Yeah.
that now, Rick?
You can go back up the hill and
Yeah.
pick up some elevation on that 10
We're
inch.
gonna be plenty deep for you, obviously, you know that.
Yeah.
But on their, the one to the east of you, since we're gonna be low, they can, if they wanna go further with some more tile,
Mhm.
they can use some of that slope that's available on the
You
ground.
mean raise it?
Yeah.
What you're saying?
Yeah, they could come up and still serve tile up there, so.
Go up a foot, can't you?
Oh, probably, yeah, yeah.
High enough to lift the limestone anyway.
Well, and that's, we're gonna confirm that today, hopefully, as far as those flags that Mansky had out there.
You don't have those figures yet, is that right?
Right, but I do have, based on the grade that it appears we have up at the east ag well and the ditch, we can, like I say, we've got several limestone, specific elevations for the limestone, and we'll be 1 to 2 inches above it, so,
Well, how did, when they dug these things in 100 years ago, how did they ever get through all the limestone with that?
well, there's no tile here, it was just to do the ag wells, and I think some of these locations, the limestone is such that you can dig it, work it loose.
They fractured it, they
Yeah.
fractured it with dynamite or anything to get access to the aquifer, basically.
Yeah.
Whatever it took. Some of them they drilled, some of them they dynamited, some of them
Yeah.
they just dug down to karst limestone, like you go right across the fence line to the north. That's full of natural sinks, so you know the karst limestone is right there. So they just dig down.
Bruce, I think back in the day it was dynamite.
Well,
I mean, that's about all they could do,
That, but-
if they had to get into
I
it.
should bring that article, I just found my article again. There was 2 representatives from Iowa State that came to Humboldt County in 1945 to discuss ag drainage wells.
Really.
Yeah, you guys would enjoy some of that, I think. June 1st of 1945, they published it, and then later that week, they had a meeting, was it Farm Bureau? Can't remember. But, to talk about ag
Are
wells
you
and
saying
their
you-
effect on the environment.
Are you saying you weren't at that meeting?
No. I wouldn't have, not only been young, I was not even born.
Okay, so you weren't, you can't claim that you were at that
No,
meeting, but
no.
it's amazing that then, so this discussion's been going on for a long time.
Long time, because part of what they talked about was the environmental effects of it, so,
Starting in 1945.
yes.
When did they have the first ag well? How many years ago?
Well, that'd be about the time. Well,
Turn of the century, probably.
yeah, probably, yeah, where they just would've dug holes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
We had natural ones before that, but
yeah,
man-made.
yeah,
And then there's a lot of them that are natural, like you
Mhm.
say,
still,
there's actually more natural ones out in that area than there is man-made, taking
Yeah.
more water.
So realistically, the ag well construction started with a lot of the drainage construction in general.
Yes.
The ditches
Yes.
being dug and that, along
where
the
it was so
same,
expensive.
along the same time frame, they would look for alternative
Yeah, they couldn't-
drainage
couldn't dig a
methods.
ditch, they dug an egg well.
There you go, yeah,
So, about the same, because of what we deal with, these antique systems, that's about when the drainage wells came into existence.
yes, correct. So we'll know more today or tomorrow as far as verification on those flags. But based on what Nancy and I talked about and what I had for flow lines, like I say, we're really, really close to the limestone. And what we might have to do is come up a little bit more at the beginning to be sure we have a few inches between it, and then a little lesser slope as we go on, to give us a few inches to work with, so.
Well, there's not a whole lot of water draining out of that dikes or mine,
Right.
actually, in a way. So
Yeah.
you're not covering many acres that
No.
were, once you establish the flow line, how long will it take you to come up with an estimated cost?
We'll get that, I'm projecting that we'll get that to Mansky next week, and then he'll verify numbers at that point, and then provide them to Mike Bowman. So, we're gonna try and wrap this up at least that far, so.
That was my point,
Yeah.
the wrapping up of this, because
Yeah.
there again, this would be this year
Yes.
construction,
Yes.
about any time, again, roughly?
Probably summer, and there may be some crop damage, because Mansky, we did have a discussion he has so much tiling in the spring and fall.
Right.
That it's one of those where it'd be cheaper to pay some crop damage and,
Right. So that's why I thought the summer, because there again, we wanna get it done,
yes.
and hopefully this whole limestone discussion, you're about, have that,
Yeah.
about at the end of
Yes,
figuring that out,
yes, absolutely.
so you can get going.
Today or tomorrow, we should be down there. They're just looking at the weather and seeing what would work the best to verify those flags.
How much extra crop damage if we're
Oh.
late for the summer, what's that come up to approximately?
If we said, Nancy probably won't be 100 feet wide, but...
Bless you.
Yeah, it could be $3,200, just roughly. I figured 100 foot wide,
That
the
done?
length of it by $3.20 a bushel and 200 bushels an acre.
Now, will that be the total cost or additional?
Total, that'd be the total crop loss and damage.
For that whole,
For the whole project.
parcel, yeah.
Yes,
All right.
yeah, that'd be ballpark. We'll get more accuracy on that, but that gives you some idea.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything else on drainage? You wanna-
One question, Trish sent us out an email this past week on, I don't know if that's a hard and fast date or potential date on the meeting for ag drainage wells.
Good afternoon, yeah.
That's a go?
25th, yes,
That's a go?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I just need to know what else I need to do on that.
What was that date again, so I made sure it was in the right,
125.
125?
Thursday the 25th, 1 o'clock, Oxbow.
1 o'clock at the Oxbow on the 25th.
January 25th.
And that's,
I'll try and get you
Letters or
copies of what I
emails.
think might be helpful. We did a report for the state.
Back in the,
Yeah,
long time ago
and
days.
at that time, it would seem like a terribly expensive project. But if you look at it today, if the state can come up with the grant money, I think the cost per acre was comparable to several projects we've done now, so.
The ones that don't have funding.
Right, yeah, so, I think it'd be a great informational meeting, for people to really consider options seriously, so.
So will we have a number then of what we have left?
I'm sure.
Yeah, Mike Rowland's keeping tally on all that, he'll give us a summary on that.
And Mike's
Nothing else.
on board and that time and date works for him, right?
mhm.
Do we have somebody have to rent that or talk to them or?
I've already talked to
You
I've
already
already talked to Todd.
Yep,
Good.
Okay, good.
he's
Awesome.
fine with that.
You know, one of my concerns too is the state is supposedly broke now.
Now, this money's been set aside.
Well, I hope so, I hope they don't.
Yeah,
get
I talked to Mike as recently as last week,
Mhm.
so, and I made
For,
sure he
for
has
this
it.
coming year, but the year after that,
Yeah.
they're already looking at stealing that money and using it for something else.
Exactly.
Then they don't have to close them.
Well, they still might. I mean, that's the way they talk. It's just gonna cost them.
Okay, anything else?
I move we go out of drainage.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. We're out of drainage. 12 minutes early, we got a time if you
Short recess?
quickly.
Thank you.
Sorry. Do you want that thing on or off?
I just told you to leave it alone. I asked if we were to, if she could just leave it alone.
What was your numbers on the claims again, Carl?
200,105.63 cents.
200,000, 105, 16.
63.
Oh, I'm sorry, 53.
63.
Yeah.
And the drainage is 58,537 and 67 cents.
I even brought my prepared for the cold.
Oh, my.
200,000, that's a pretty good chunk
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a couple weeks. get their bills
I
in
did.
at the end of the month, at the end of the year.
I stuck around the house this weekend and we cleaned the carpets in the upstairs. My legs and my back hurt so bad from pulling on that machine.
Yeah.
You're out of
It's
shape.
been a long time since Sunday morning I went to church. I get up and sit down, it's like, we do too many more of these.
You're out of shape, Bruce.
I'm gonna have to go, Pastor, is it all right if I sit?
Yeah, they'll figure something's wrong with you if you stay sitting.
You remember football training, Bruce?
You know, there was days where you hurt so bad, you just didn't wanna think about it.
I didn't play professional, but after high school, I had to take my hand to help me get the foot off the foot feed to the brake.